The other big hallmark case, obviously, is still also ongoing. So tell me what you can about it. But with the reelection of now President-elect Donald Trump, he was also at the center of the election indictment. What do you do now? Because we've got this Supreme Court precedent now that says sitting presidents really can't be charged for some of the things that they did in office. With him now having the protection of the White House, how do you proceed as it relates to just his portion of this case?
I'm not going to talk to you about a case. Let me talk to you about a young lawyer and a lawyer that's got a little age on her. When I became a lawyer, I believe that all the smartest people were the judges, right? That's who rose to the top. I've been a little disheartened as I've gone on to practice law. But what I can tell you about me as a district attorney, I didn't indict anyone who I did not believe committed a crime in any case. And all of our more serious felony cases were indicted because a grand jury decided that there was enough evidence there to indict them. And so it is our plan, if someone has an indictment in this office, no matter who they are, we continue to pursue those charges. I can't be responsible for what judges and what courts will do. That will be decisions that they make, but I hope we get to see a little courage in leaders.
What about no matter how long it takes? Is that something that you think about too?
I'm patient. That's what age teaches you, is patience. I've been patient in the way we do our work, and I'm here for 8 more years is my plan. And so if that's what it takes for us to get justice in some cases, we come to work every day. We'll come to work and look for justice.
Several days later.
Donald Trump's legal battles are all but over following his historic election win, but there's one holdout still prosecuting President-elect the president-elect embattled Fulton County DA Fani Willis. But sources tell the New York Post the state Supreme Court is getting ready to dismiss the case, throwing Willis's professional future into doubt. Former federal
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We have some terrible news for Miss Fani Pack Willis, who is the Trump deranged Fulton County DA that has decided that she's not going to give up going after her political opponent, right? She's not going to give up trying to throw Trump in jail. Now, the problem with this is that it seems as if she's not going to have a choice, right? She's going to have to give up because sources are indicating that this case is likely going to go away. Now, we know that most of the cases against Trump, the federal cases, all of those are gone. The New York hush money case, the sentencing has been put on hold. That's probably going to go away as well, too. I mean, you have Alvin Bragg saying he's willing to wait it out. Well, I'm willing to wait 4 years, right, until we can sentence the former president because they want to throw the president in jail. However, it is very unrealistic that they're going to wait 4 years for sentencing, right? Like, that's just a ridiculous idea. I mean, even CNN admitted that, yeah, that's just a ridiculous idea, right? Like, you're not going to wait 4 years to sentence the former president. That ain't happening.
Attorney Ellie Honig is with us, I should point out. We got the letter from the DA here. No surprise that they're not eager to let this go. And they point out in their letter that there's no law that currently establishes that a president's immunity comes that it requires the dismissal of a post-trial criminal proceeding. In other words, there's nothing in the Supreme Court's ruling that gives a president immunity for being found guilty of something before he was president, let alone for acts that may not be deemed official. Suffice to say, this is complicated.
Yeah, Boris, this is brand new territory. This is the crazy law school hypothetical come to life. We've never had a situation, anything like this. But to your question, I see 2 major takeaways from this filing we just got from the DA. First of all, the DA is okay with adjourning this sentencing indefinitely, which means it will not happen before he takes office if the judge agrees. Kara makes a very important point. This is just the DA's position. Ultimately, it's up to the judge. But the second thing that really jumps out at me is the DA in this letter says what you just said, Boris, about immunity, that it doesn't necessarily cover post-trial proceedings. And so the DA floats the possibility in their letter. They say we want to look into various options, including possibly having his sentencing happen in 2029 when he's done his second term as president. To me, that is a preposterous suggestion, just as a practical matter. You can't put off sentence 4+ years. I think Donald Trump would have a very strong argument when this day comes, when he's 82 years old and finishing up his second term, that's just too long to wait. But again, This is all unknown. This is all brand new. But I found that really interesting to see that the DA is actually floating the possibility of pushing sentencing till January 21st, I guess, of 2029.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what the practical effect was of pushing something 4 years to when someone's an octogenarian, but it's like you're psychic, Ellie.
Yeah, so Fanny Pack is trying to take a page out of Alvin Bragg's playbook and say, yeah, I'm just going to wait. Okay, now it's just as ridiculous to wait 4 years for a trial as it is to wait 4 years for sentencing, right? These cases should have never been brought in the first place. And they need to go away. Okay, that's what needs to happen. And it looks like they're both gonna go away. Again, these people are just holding on for dear life. Again, because apparently this is not something that is expected to last much longer. Although Willis appears adamant she will stay the course, she could potentially be kicked off the case by a body who are investigating it or usurped by the state Supreme Court, who are likely to step in and close it, according to sources. Quote, Fanny doesn't see how she's headed for a brick wall. She's going full tilt with vengeance and emotions, one local defense lawyer who knows her told the Post. Quote, she's still so full of herself and hasn't learned her lesson yet. She doesn't realize she is her own demise and she's the reason everything's falling apart. Yeah, this is true. I mean, if she wasn't busting her legs wide open for this guy right here, okay, if she had some discipline, then, maybe this case would still be alive. Maybe this case would have went to trial before the election, but it didn't because of the conflict of interest, the fact that she was running around taking vacations and trips with a guy that she was paying taxpayer money to go after her political opponent, which was a clear and obvious conflict of interest that honestly should have killed this case earlier this year. But the Judge McAfee, he was a coward. He didn't have the stones to actually really kill the case outright. So he decided to kill the case via 1,000 slow cuts by basically forcing Nathan Wade off of the case, saying, okay, well, it's either Fanny got to go or Nathan got to go. And Fanny can choose. Fanny, of course, decided to get rid of her lover boy, okay, in order to keep the case alive. However, there was a strong odor of mendacity left, aka she's lying, he's lying, about when the relationship started and whether or not they're still in a relationship. And again, the Georgia Appeals Court, they are currently reviewing this, and they've decided to basically pause all proceedings when it comes to evaluating whether or not Fani Willis should be kicked off the case. And a lot of people are saying that's because they could just outright dismiss this whole thing, right? Due to the turn of events with Trump actually being president now and the Supreme Court immunity ruling. Last week, a Georgia appeals court abruptly canceled oral argument scheduled for next month in the case, and Trump's lawyers are likely to cite the federal end to the election interference charges against them to get the Georgia case thrown out. Quote, I would be shocked if it wasn't dismissed, but Fanny has a bigger ego than the entire state. So who knows? A source close to the Willis investigations told the Post. Yeah, so that being said, let's go ahead and watch this Fox News clip on what is happening with this case out in Georgia.
Donald Trump's legal battles are all but over following his historic election win, but there's one holdout still prosecuting President-elect, the President-elect embattled Fulton County DA Fani Willis. But sources tell the New York Post the state Supreme Court is getting ready to dismiss the case, throwing Willis's professional future into doubt. Former federal prosecutor Francie Hakes joins us now. Good morning, Francie. Thank you for joining us. From what I understand, obviously this is the last case with the state of Georgia here. What makes people believe this case will be dropped?
Well, good morning, Joey. Right now, the case sits with the Georgia Court of Appeals. And just this week, they're supposed to have oral arguments on the defense's motion to have Fani Willis recused from the case for a variety of misconduct. And without any warning, without any apparent motion, and without any explanation, the Court of Appeals just removed, that is, canceled, that oral argument. And so there's speculation that they are getting ready to just rule based on the briefs instead of requiring oral argument. And if they're not requiring oral argument, they've probably made up their mind. And I'm guessing that the election has something to do with it.
Yeah, we all saw the riveting, we've televised it live here on Fox, the riveting case where Fani Willis's relationship with Nathan Wade was highlighted and showing where she might have, for lack of a better term, been exposed to malpractice in bringing these charges. So are we looking at a situation where she, as the prosecutor, is removed and thus the case goes away unless another prosecutor picks it up? Or is it the merits of the case itself could have it thrown out?
Well, Joey, if she gets recused, then the case simply gets removed from her office, because if she's conflicted out, her entire office is conflicted out. And then the case goes over to what's called the Prosecuting Attorneys Council of Georgia. And they have the ability to either assign the case to one of their lawyers, sort of roving prosecutors. In fact, we saw one of those prosecutors in action in the Lake and Riley case last week. She worked for the Prosecuting Attorneys Council of Georgia. So they could assign it to one of them, or they could assign it out to a different elected DA. And the case would effectively start from zero, because no prosecutor is going to want to come in and simply start where Fani Willis left off. They're all going to go to the beginning. And I suspect they'll all reach the same conclusion. There was no violation of law here, and this case should never have been brought.
Yeah, that seems to be what most people think. I hope so. This lawfare has to end, and our president needs to be able to govern. Francie Hakes, thanks for joining us.
I'm Steve. Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Yeah, I think it's too muddy at this point. I think that they're about to just strike down this case altogether, right? It's going to go away one way or the other. I think Fani Willis here is just holding out because of her pride. I think she knew a long time ago this case was done, because she came out and started boohoo whining and crying racism after the judge essentially warned her about that. Hey, you might not want to keep boohoo whining and crying racism, because that can be seen as what they call forensic misconduct. Okay, she could possibly be affecting the jury pool out in Fulton County by accusing the people who are challenging her of being racist, right? And you have to go and then try to prosecute those people. Yeah, you are kind of messing with the case. And she didn't really care. She just continued to pull the race card and whatnot and say, well, this is happening because I'm a woman of color and all this other crazy nonsense. But yeah, this is not good news. Okay, there's a lot of speculation that this case is going to be outright dismissed. It's going to be struck down. That Supreme Court is going to come in. The state Supreme Court is going to come in and just do away with it due to the election. Or it will be found in the appeals court that, yeah, she has to be removed from the case due to the conflict of interest with Nathan Wade. And that would send the case to another prosecutor, and that would basically kill the case, because they're not going to want to start from square one. They're going to have to go after the current president of the United States. They're not going to want to do that, right? They're not going to want to do it. It's just going to be too much. Yeah, this case is done, right? It's done. Fani Willis can hold out, but it's basically done. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.